What's going on, you guys? Snoobs here, and we're gonna review another chapter of One Piece. We're gonna review chapter 2. They call him Straw Hat Luffy, where we get the epithet of Luffy. He's commonly known throughout most of the story. It's his most renowned name. This is also kind of his pirate crew's based off of it, hence why the name is a key factor. It just revolves around, the Straw Hat. It's something Oda sets up super heavily. The Straw Hat's super important to Luffy, and it's pretty much a part of him. It classifies who he is in a pirate crew. It's his most outstanding feature, next to his bullheadedness and moronic nature, which we get right into in this chapter. Last chapter, Luffy was sailing out from Fuchsia Village, and he was heading to go look for a crew. And when he headed out, he didn't really have a course in mind or anything else. He just started floating, and he's kind of surprised. He says, "I didn't think such a beautiful day that it could end in disaster so soon." And he starts sailing out and gets sucked into a whirlpool. And so he's pretty calm about it. Like, he just well, nobody's around, and I can't swim. I ate a devil fruit. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. I'm getting sucked into a giant whirlpool anyways. It doesn't matter if I can swim. And just kind of floats with it. And that's where we start off. And then we get a cover page next. And it's of Luffy, and I believe it's like an ostrich, but it's got stripes. And you get to see the Jolly Roger behind him, the Straw Hat Jolly Roger, which it's the first time you see it in the actual manga. But it's not like his crew. Mostly Oda's just drawing fun stuff at this point. Later on, his chapter cover pages really can give insight into the world and help with the world building aspect. Well, start off a chapter. It could be unrelated to the chapter overall. It's just something fun he likes to do. I think kind of a break in between all the story. So the chapter starts. We just see the side of a ship with it's like a duck coming off the bow. Lots of hearts on the sail, and then there's a Jolly Roger with a sideways skull with a heart on the side of the skull. And it shows a profile of some lady's fingers as she's rubbing the bulwark, and she finds dust, and we are introduced to our first opposing pirate crew, since Shanks is more of an ally throughout the whole story. I mean, they're competing to be pirates, but other than that, they're pretty much allies. And we get introduced to her, and we learn that, she's really fickle about how clean her ship is, and she also talks about being beautiful and how there's a standard for her being beautiful, that she shouldn't have to deal with uncleanliness. And then we're introduced to a character by the name of Koby, and we also get the full view of Alvida. He was kind of psyching you out, made her seem like this kind of mystique, possibly quite attractive pirate, and then he goes all out. After she's talking about being beautiful, you just get the image of Alvida, this haggard-looking pirate lady who has a massive club over her shoulder, and she's barking out orders to all the crewmates. She kind of makes an example out of him, since he's like the weakest crewmate. He's just a 14-year-old cabin boy or something like that, just very nervous, shy kid, and she uses him to fulfill her delusions about herself. She constantly asks him, who's the most beautiful in the world, or who's the most beautiful pirate, and but she's quite abusive. She is harassing and beating the crew, and the crew's all nervous when she's upset about whether it's the cleanliness or anything else that's impeding her any moment. So we also get Alvida's epithet herself. Most pirates seem to have one. It just differentiates them from each other and gives them a cool kind of CB handle. Hers is Iron Mace Alvida, because she obviously carries a huge club. It's made of iron, spiked. Uh, Other than that, she's notorious for how aggressive she is and brutal she is, but she's in the East Blue, so there's not a ton of crazy pirates. Most of them are trying to go to the Grand Line and adventure there and prove their worth on those seas. They're more reputable. But Alvida's roaming around the East Blue, taking advantage of stuff. So the ship is beached, and on the side of the beach, Koby comes across a barrel of rum. And so he pushes it off to their storage area, and he's sure they're Alvida will want to use that, drink that later. And as he pushes it in, the crew, there's a couple crewmates in there, and they're talking about, let us bust that open, Koby. Let us have a drink, and she'll never find out. And Koby's like nervous about it. He's not trying to tick Alvida off any more than he has to. He constantly is under her whipping post, but they pressure him to do it. They're saying that we'll beat you up just as bad as she will. And then we have this scene where we find out Luffy had hidden in the barrel to escape from the whirlpool. He sealed himself in the barrel and managed not to get crashed and destroyed with the torrential pressure and power from the actual whirlpool. And he just screams, that was a great nap, and just busts out of it, scaring Koby and the rest of the Alvida's crew that's there. And he's like, looks like I survived somehow. I got so dizzy that I thought I was going to barf, and he just kind of laughs it off. And the rest of the crew just sits there staring at him in shock. Not really sure how to respond. And he turns and goes, "Who are you guys?" And they go, "Who the hell are you? You're the one who just came busting out of a barrel. We've got the questions here, man." And Alvida hears this and just chucks her mace, comes crashing across, and everyone scatters. Luffy goes rolling off into the woods off to the side, and the rest of the crew's just laying on their backs all beat. And Alvida comes up and she's like, "Which one of you lazy bastards is napping?" And the rest of the crew defends us. Like, we weren't sleeping. We'd never do that in a million years. And Alvida screams like, "Don't play with me. I heard you scream. That was a great nap." Which Luffy again screwing everyone in the situation without realizing it. And so they're sitting there trying to figure out what the hell's going on. So they're saying, we've got an intruder on here, that wasn't us, Koby brought him on, that good for nothing. And so this is where we get introduced to the concept of a bounty hunter. And it's another aspect of the One Piece world that starts having some influence. It's not touched upon an insane amount, but they're an aspect of the world that I enjoy. And there's characters in One Piece I'd like to see done more with this concept. But yeah, so we get introduced to the concept of a bounty hunter, and they talk about how not any bounty hunter could catch Alvida, not just any person. That it'd have to be someone really strong and smart. And they're like, but that it can't be that guy. The guy who's in the East Blue, he's locked up. And Alvida says, but if he's as clever as they say, he could have already escaped. And we get the name. We're introduced to the infamous Roanoa Zolo, or Zoro, as most English natives would understand it. Elzenars get jacked up through translation. It's super hard, but yeah, Zolo. And we'll learn more about him in other chapters. But anyways, we cut back to Luffy and Koby, who are still separated from Alvida and the rest of their crew. And they're talking. He's asking if Luffy's okay, if, he's been knocked around and stuff. And Luffy doesn't. He just blows it off. He's a rubber man. Don't know. So Koby goes on to explain a little bit about the island. We don't learn, anything really. This island is one of the few I think that don't even get named, other than filler arcs and stuff. But He says this island's the hideout of Iron Mace Alvida, the lady pirate, and he's the cabin boy. He starts kind of informing on how he ended up in this situation. Luffy initially just is like, oh, I see, none of that really matters to me. He's like, he's just not interested. He's just more interested in getting on with being a pirate. But he's just happy-go-lucky about it, and he's asking if he knows where he can get like a dinghy, a small ship, and he tells him that his got sucked into a giant whirlpool, and Koby's just losing his mind. He's like, you got sucked into a whirlpool? He's like, how you're lucky to be alive, man. And Luffy's just like, yeah, it caught me by surprise. He's like, no big deal. And then so he asks Koby if he knows where he can get a ship, and yeah, Koby has been actually working on one for 2 years. He's been building a very shoddily made at that dinghy to try and escape the Alvida pirates, the lady pirates. He was forced to join Alvida and her crew. Koby kind of got caught in a super lame fashion, but like I said, it's kind of cool because his character is super meager. He doesn't believe in himself like at all, and he's like the opposite of Luffy, but he aspires to be someone like Luffy who is strong and follows his dream and has resolve. But he is super meager, and he tells Luffy how he ended up joining the lady pirates, and he says he was gonna go fishing one day, and he boarded a pirate ship by mistake. He just actually hopped on the wrong ship, and after that, to save his life, he asked Alvida if he could just be a cabin boy in exchange for his life, and Luffy's just like, man, you're kind of dumb. Like, you're not a very bright young lad. But yeah, Luffy's just right to the point with it, and Koby's like embarrassed. He's like, yeah, and Luffy goes on to go, you're gutless and worthless too, and just starts laughing at him, and Koby's just like, damn, real life problems going on now. He's like making it a reality for him. But he asks Luffy why he headed out to sea anyways. He wants to know what he's doing, sailing in a little dinghy by himself. So one of the things they start talking about is like their aspirations. They start really diving into what their goals are in life, and we obviously know Luffy wants to be king of the pirates, and this is the first time we see someone besides like Shanks react, where Shanks was just like prideful. He really likes Luffy, but this is someone Luffy doesn't know, and Koby just scoffs at him. He's just blown away that he would have the balls to even say something like that, and he's like, you'd have to make the whole world kneel to you. He talks about how difficult it is to become Pirate King. It's like every pirate's seeking that goal, and Luffy's like, yeah, and I'm one of them. Even Koby takes the quote they use a lot at the beginning of the anime, and it's like, wealth, fame, power, you'd have to achieve it all. Don't tell me you're after Gold Roger's lost treasure, One Piece. He really breaks down that like becoming Pirate King is more than like just like getting to the One Piece or anything else. It's like literally becoming the most reputable, the most respected, and the most wealthy pirate on the seas. It's more than just finding the One Piece. Now finding the One Piece is its own prize in its own, but being Pirate King is what Luffy really seeks. I don't think he really fixates on the treasure. The treasure would be cool, and he'd spend it mostly on food, but becoming king of the pirates and having a great adventure is his true ambitions. And Koby's just shocked that he'd even come out and say that. He's like, do you want to die? He's like, every pirate in the world's after that. He's like, you have astronomical odds to actually become the Pirate King, that it's impossible. You shouldn't even try. And Luffy just punches him. He's like, you're being hysterical. And Koby's just like, I'm used to getting hit. Like, God, sad kid, man. He's just accepted abuse at this point. Luffy just says, I'm not afraid to die, Koby. He's like, I've set myself up to become the king of the pirates, and if I die trying, then at least I tried. Just because it's astronomical odds, your odds are zero if you don't try at all. That's kind of what he's trying to reflect to Koby. Well, not purposely doing it, but Koby's inspired by his guts and determination. He's just that's a man. Like, that's a guy who knows what he wants and is gonna do whatever to follow and take his dream. You know, Koby's never seen a person with that much resolve that wasn't, just some scumbag who's just trying to be a low-ranking pirate criminal like Alvida. He tells him that he believes he'll succeed, and Koby's like, I've never thought about it this way. He's like, if I believe in something and try for it, that I should be satisfied with just going after my own ambition, and it, more or less concerning about if it's possible to do it or not. And Koby talks about his dream. And his dream is to become a member of the Navy. He wants to catch pirates. He wants to fight bad guys. He's dreamed about it since he was a child. And he asks Luffy if Luffy thinks he can do it. And Luffy's like, how would I know? And Koby gets all inspired. He's like, well, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna become a member of the Navy. He's like, I don't want to be a miserable cabin boy my whole life. He's like, better risk my life achieving my dream. I'll join the Navy and then I'll capture Alvida. I like that idea that he wants to capture his old captain that caused him so much torment. And I'd like to see them touch back on that in the manga at some point. It'd be cool. Later on, we know about characters that are still hanging around in the One Piece world, and Alvida's one of them. And it'd be cool to see Koby ramp up against that. But about that time that Luffy and Koby are having their big hype up talk to each other, Alvida hears what's going on and screams like, who are you gonna capture, you little punk? And shatters his dinghy, just destroys it, and is like, Alvida asks if he really thought he was capable of leaving, or if he thinks he's really willing to even escape, let alone capture her. So she starts talking about how it's obvious that it's not the bounty hunter Rono Azolo. So she gives Koby one more chance to, fix everything, and asks who's the fairest throughout all the seas. And Koby kind of, he lost all of his momentum from earlier. He just kind of backs down. He's like, Lady Alvida, you are, And just before he finishes, Luffy cuts him off. And like, who's this old broad? Like, this haggard-looking lady. And the whole crew freaks out. They're like, bro, you're hurting us. You're not even hurting yourself. Like, yeah, you're going to get your ass kicked. But, like, we still have to deal with this after. Don't piss her off and call her ugly. And Koby even turns. He's like, "What the hell, Luffy?" He's like, "Take that back." He's like, "Lady Alvida on the seas. She's a dangerous person." He has these flashbacks, and he realizes Luffy's resolve. It's what inspires him about Luffy, and it's what makes him such a cool, badass person. And Koby turns and decides he's tired of it. He gets that momentum again. He's like, Lady Alvida's the ugliest hag of all. And Alvida's just like, no. The bottom feeder, the goddamn crustacean that I keep on my ship, talking back and down to me. And Luffy's just busting up. He thinks it's the funniest thing he's ever seen. He just finds it hilarious. He loves that Koby's finally, standing up and trying to be the person he wants to be. That stuff Luffy likes. He doesn't need to tell people to do it. He just wants people to get what they desired. He loves that. And Koby has finally came to the point where he's willing to accept death because he's tired of being on this ship, and he says he's willing to fight for his dreams. Like I said, dreams are the massive part of this story, and you gotta love it because it inspires you to do what you want in your day life. And it's one thing I can take from it is, damn, he knows how to talk about following your dreams. But yeah, he's just, Koby just starts yelling because he thinks he's gonna die, but he's fine with it. And Luffy goes, "Good for you, Koby." He's like, "Yeah, man, like, that's it. Stand up for yourself. Be you, Koby. Be happy and go after what you want. Don't let people push you around like Alvida, this ugly hag." And she swings her club at Koby, and Luffy pushes him back, and she's like, "Makes no difference to me. I'm gonna kill you both." And she clubs Luffy in the head, and he just smiles back under his hat. I'm made of rubber. That doesn't hurt. Like, don't even worry about it. Like, you ain't even doing nothing to me. Her whole crew, even Koby, they're in shock. They're like, what is wrong with this person? Most of them haven't heard of devil fruits or seen them. It's not common in the East, but most of them are in the Grand Line. And even Alvida's like, what the? And then Luffy just gum pistols her, sends her flying. And we get a nice panel here. And he, just clocks her right in the face. Luffy doesn't care if you're a man or a woman. If you offend him or hurt people he likes, he's gonna just knock your ass out. And he goes further, like he's through with Alvida and the Speedos, and he's wants Koby to go do what he desires, and he wants to get away from here because he's more concerned with starting his crew. They're all sitting there like, he's stretched like rubber, like, Captain, he's not human. Like, we gotta watch out for him. And Koby's like, Luffy's like, give Koby a dinghy, and he's joining the Navy, and we're out of here. And the crew's like, yep, get out of here. We have no idea even what to do with you. And Luffy just laughs, and Koby is just grateful beyond belief. He's crying. So Koby and Luffy head off the island, and they're chatting. He talks about the gum tree here, and it leaves me curious, like, so is there specific trees that release devil fruits, or like historically it may have came from one, or is it just like they use that term initially and now it's kind of like devil fruits are handled in a different way? Because I know later on the way devil fruits are explained doesn't seem like they're specific to a certain tree. But anyways, I found that interesting. See if there's more insight. It's kind of cool to go back through these old chapters and see what was kept and what was kind of a concept that was further developed later that wasn't impeded by the story. Like, it doesn't mean it's like a plot hole or anything at this point. It's just kind of, he cleared up some of the knowledge about it. That's what's cool about some of the concepts, is like devil fruits are kind of a vague subject as it is. So what people know in the East Blue, or just general people know about devil fruits, could be completely wrong and written that way in the story. But Goda. So Luffy and Koby are chatting up, they're talking about the One Piece, and then he's telling them that, to go after the One Piece, you have to go to the Grand Line. You have to sail the full length of the Grand Line to find the actual One Piece. And he says they call it the Pirate's Graveyard, and that's Luffy's like, that's why I have to assemble an ultra good team of like super powerful people. With thinking about looking for a crew of strong people, he goes, that guy who's imprisoned at the Navy base, what's his name? And we hear it again, and it's from Koby. It's Roronoa Zolo. And so then we find out, that they're Luffy's gonna try looking for Zolo. He's gonna look for Zoro and try and go to this Navy base, which is cool. I was thinking about this after reading these chapters again, that this is the only time Luffy was allowed to walk on, and then he shouldn't have really been able to walk away, but onto a Navy base. Like, at this point now in the story, there's no way in hell he would go there, like, unless he's going there for the purpose of fighting the Navy. Like, he pretty much can't land there. I mean, they have a lot in the stories, but it's kind of interesting because he doesn't really have to worry about a lot of the repercussions until later, because these are the first repercussions that are actually tied to him, that are why he wouldn't be allowed in Navy bases at this point, because of the crimes he commits. But yeah, so they talk about that, and Koby goes on to kind of tell Luffy about what Zoro's like, and Luffy's like, yeah, if he's a good guy, I'll have him join my crew. And Koby's like, you're crazy, man. That guy, he'll never ever join your crew. He's a demon. He's a monster. Demon's a word that gets tied with this character a bunch, and he's like, you're talking crazy. And Luffy's like, how do you know? And Koby's just yelling, never, never. And so they head on towards the naval base, and that's the end of the chapter. So yeah, we're introduced to Luffy and Koby. Koby's an awesome character because he's kind of relatable from the viewer. Most people aren't Luffy characters; they're the Koby characters, and they want to be the Luffy characters, and they want to be able to say what they want to say and do what they want and have the gusto to back it. But most people overthink it and are too busy worried about not being good enough. And I really like Koby and Luffy's relationship. A lot of people give Koby flack because he's a weaker character, but it's the same as character Usopp we get to meet later. It's being able to relate to those characters that make the strong characters so impactful because they make those characters feel important too. And it's a great part of One Piece. So yeah, just starting off on the early stuff. We'll get into some really cool world aspects, and then we'll also get into some really cool scenes and fights and panels and just everything as it progresses. I mean, I'm most excited for Arlong Park, mostly because that's the when things start kind of ripping off in East Blue, at least in my opinion, and then it just kind of rolls from there. It's going to be exciting, but yeah, this was number 2, and thanks for checking it out. Have a good night, y'all, or good morning.